A man in New York City was threatening people with a knife in his family home. And when officers arrived, he was threatening the officers with his knife. He actually charged one of the officers with his knife. The officer responded by shooting him 4 times in self-defense and in defense of everybody else there, because that is part of his job. Now, any other jurisdiction, this would have been ruled justified, and the person that was wielding the knife would be charged, assuming he survived. He would be charged with a crime. Assault with a deadly weapon of a police officer, assault with a deadly weapon to other people. However, this is New York City, and Mamdani is saying that he should not face any charges at all because he did all this because he had a mental health breakdown. Having a mental health issue means that you're not responsible for yourself, according to him. So there's something deeper to point out here. And this is a trait of all tyrants. All tyrants, what they all have in common is that they want to convince you that you're not rational and you're not capable of making your own decisions, that you're not, they sell it to you like you're not responsible for yourself, right? It sounds seductive on the surface. That's what people like to do. They like to blame something else for their personal problems. Now, that's not to say that there isn't outside forces, like, for example, tyranny, that makes it more difficult to survive. But they want to say that your own faculties are the issue. And that's basically what he's saying here. It's saying that because he had a mental health breakdown, he's not responsible for what he did. So by extension, if you say that, you make some excuse to say, well, I'm not responsible for this because I was having this problem or whatever. It's to say that you don't have control over yourself, that you lack agency. Okay. And if you can sell people on that idea, like what he's trying to do, then you could push for any kind of tyranny, whether it be socialism, whether it be fascism. I can list them all. Because, take, for example, socialism. They said that you're not capable of, your own choices, therefore you're not responsible for the amount of wealth that you have, right? Or in fascism, which is kind of the same thing, except it has a nationalistic goal of it, that the individual doesn't know what's good for himself and needs the state to tell him what to do, as if people in government are a bunch of angels anyway. So if he can sell people on that outcome, if he can sell people on the idea that this individual, using him as an example, was not responsible for threatening the lives of other people because he had a mental health issue and he shouldn't face any charges. And by the way, they're blaming the police officer for shooting this person. If they can sell people on that idea, they can say that this is an example of someone who was targeted by the system, right? This egalitarian angle that they're trying to take. And he's not responsible. He can't be responsible. Therefore, other people are also not responsible for what they do. That's the concept. It's called psychological determinism. You see it on the left. You see it on the right too, by the way. If they could sell people on the idea that you're not capable of making your own rational decisions, then they can bring in their tyranny. They can justify their tyranny. They could say, well, we need to have a different kind of system to determine justice in such a way that it's not really justice, right? Because we've taken reason out of the equation. So now we have vengeance. Now we have quote unquote political justice, which, like I said, is the egalitarianism that you see on the left. You could say that, since people are not responsible, they bring in the socialism, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a bigger agenda to this. It's not just that Mamdani is stupid or anything. He's actually a semi-intelligent tyrant. That's the reason why he says that this individual shouldn't face charges.